Any child that comes, we are going to block that child. Please don't block any child.
Don't block any child. Because I find that a lot of times your generation has a sharper focus on longevity rather than quality.
My father never cooked in the kitchen. I never saw my father in the kitchen.
Do you think it is still a beneficial thing for a woman specifically to get married? I see my money. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. I am here obviously with my mom, and yes, I decided to copy her with my dressing today. Anyway, we're not going to waste much time. As you can tell by the title, we're about to hear some tea, right?
Tips.
Okay, tips and tea. Yeah, we're gonna talk about marriage. My mom has been married for 23 years. Okay, 23 years. If you easy do it, she's been married for 23 years, and obviously that means lots of wisdom. Okay, so we're gonna get into it today. We have water here. You guys go grab a drink and join us as we unpack what it means to be married, okay? Because some of you guys think this is a joke. It's not a joke. Do you want to introduce yourself? Okay. Tell them who you are.
My name is Vivian Iroche, obviously Uzoma's mom. And what else? I'm 51 years old.
Wow. Wow.
So which means that I've been married for about 27. Sorry, I got married when I was about 27. And 23 years counting. Yeah.
What has the journey been like? I can't wait for my dad to watch this and give us his feedback. Anyway, what has the journey been like? Okay, describe the journey in 3 words.
Will I marry again? I'll say yes. It's worth it. And there's a saying that they say that it's not a bed of roses. Very true. And what else? I don't know.
Okay, I said 3 words, mommy. You gave us a paragraph.
Okay. I don't know.
Like, was it exciting, or has it been exciting, difficult?
Well, it's been
fulfilling?
A journey. It's been a journey. Yes, I would say I will choose fulfilling because it just shows you that love exists, and love exists truly. It shows that you have, when things happen, you always have someone that would stand by you. And I know it's not always the case with everyone, but in my own experience, the journey has been worthwhile. Not, I can't say completely of course, yes, it hasn't been very smooth, but it's been worthwhile. It's been fulfilling. Of course, there are some good times and not so good times. There's actually some bad times. If you want me to be real, and 23 years. I think at this 23rd year, I think I'm just sort of like gliding now. Initially, it was more difficult. I guess we're trying to...
No, don't say everything now. I have to ask you the questions.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry.
So, okay guys, so you've obviously heard like a little bit of an overview. So now I have a few questions which I'm going to ask her that will pertain to like what the view of marriage is right now in 2023 as compared to the year 2000. Her wedding anniversary was actually 3 days ago. So 23 years and a couple of days. So I know you see all the Instagram pictures and Bella Niger weddings and in the YouTube space. Like the idea of marriage in this generation is so different to what it was back then. So what are some differences you'd say that you've seen between that generation and my generation, for example? Because I have a few friends that are married already. So what do you think?
When we were getting married, I mean, when we were getting married, it wasn't about all this big celebration and after school, the way we grew up, after school and after a few years of working, or even before you start working really, your parents expected you to be married. That was how I grew up. So I was prepared for marriage. Like, I remember my dad then always used to say, you need to learn how to do this, you need to learn how to cook properly for your husband, don't go and disgrace me in your husband's house, things like that. And then growing up, I remember we used to just wake up in the morning, very early in the morning, like maybe 5, 6 o'clock, just to prepare breakfast for my dad, and just always in the kitchen. And I just got reminded all the time that you need to do this for your husband. And yeah, that was how I was raised. And then I got married. It wasn't even anything. There was nothing like social media, or it was just, we're just waiting for the date, the engagement, of course, the civil, and family, friends came together. It wasn't anything, so serious. Now, as compared to this generation, I guess for this generation is more of like the wedding, the wedding day, as opposed to the marriage itself. People are not really prepared for, I don't see people really prepared for the marriage. They are more focused on the wedding itself, on that particular day, or on the feel, or the preparation. I see a lot of entertainment from even, the people who are getting, which is a nice thing actually. It's actually nice. I admire that. But what I'm trying to say is that the marriage itself, the how many years or you plan to remain in that. People, I see that people don't even see it. I don't know if I'm jumping. Uzoma, I don't know whether I'm jumping.
No, continue. Like, I have a few more questions.
Yeah, people don't even see it as anything that is serious. It's just they're more serious about how the outcome of the wedding day will be,
as opposed to the actual marriage.
Yes, so that's the difference. Whereas in our own time, we were prepared for the marriage. I mean, not just the wedding day, the marriage. There's a saying then that I was told. You said when you get into marriage is like a gift. When you're opening a gift, you don't know what you find inside. Whatever it is that you find, you take it like that. That was how we grew up. That was what we were told.
I think it's interesting that you say you feel like your generation was more prepared. But do you find that our generation's willingness or unwillingness to stay in marriages that don't serve us, do you find that is as a result of more awareness and like a higher standard and holding people to a higher standard? Do you think that if you had the choice, you would be in this generation or in your generation still where? Because I find that a lot of times your generation has a sharper focus on longevity rather than quality. And longevity in the sense that they want to make sure that they stay there for commitment's sake, which is a double-edged sword if you ask me, because you can say yes, because we are actually experiencing the commitment that is marriage, but also that almost allows for a lot of rubbish, for lack of a better word. Like, it allows for a lot of complacency, which is what people in my generation, I have noticed, do not want or want to stand for. But then there has to be a balance, right? So what do you think about that?
I was just going to say that in everything there's a balance. In our own generation, of course, you're not wrong by saying that a lot of rubbish happens because we didn't even know any better. We didn't even know that we could even do certain things. Like the example I gave, like the way I was raised to cook for my husband, to do those kinds of things, everything. My husband wasn't expected to cook in the kitchen, or it was like almost impossible, because I grew up like that. My father was like that. My father never cooked in the kitchen. I never saw my father in the kitchen. No. Never. So it was just my mom and then the children, cook and all that. And it was even difficult for my dad to even allow anyone to cook for him except my mom. So it was when I grew up that my dad allowed me to cook for him, and so it was almost like, okay. And I know that in this generation, that would have been like
like, if you like, don't cook. You will not eat.
So I see that
I'm joking.
Yeah, I know that in this generation there's nothing like that. Like, it will not happen. In fact, there'll be a fight immediately. Like,
Yeah.
do you understand? So I see that a lot. And I don't know, I didn't know anything else. So for this generation, I see that it's opposite. Like, people do things which I admire a lot. I like that people help. It just shows love. People show, I feel like, you can show love in different ways, and just helping somebody else is, and again, you don't find people, I find out in this generation, people live on their own. You find out husband, wife, and that's it. So you have to do your things, on your own. So I think then it's a bit different from, now. Things are different, quite different. So I can understand why this generation do things the way they do. But like I said earlier, there should be a balance. There should be a balance in the sense that you don't just want to go the extreme, and then as a woman as well, you won't say, oh, okay, I'm not going to cook for my husband because anybody can cook if you want to eat. I mean,
what if you can't? What if the woman can't cook?
Well, I would say too, like, for this generation, it's a bit different from ours. Like, when we were growing up, we were taught, like, we grew up knowing that we're going to do that for our husbands. That it was a
That's
role.
so interesting.
Yes, it was a role that we had to play, and then the husband had to provide.
Whereas it's very different now, where like those two things are very, like, it's very possible for the other party to do those two things. And even when I was growing up, I mean, there was no real emphasis for me to, like, I mean, there were definitely those passing comments such as, learn how to cook so that you can, what will you do in your husband's house, or things like that. But I also think it's a cultural thing. And I remember when I was younger, I always used to ask, why for my husband and not me, myself?
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Right? When I was pretty young, right? I used to ask, like, why are you guys asking me to learn how to cook for my husband and not even myself? Why are you not thinking about me?
Yeah.
Rather than somebody you don't even know yet.
And I guess that's just culture, really. But I even find out that, like, some guys even like to cook.
Yes, exactly.
My son likes to cook, for instance. So I think that things are just different.
Very different, yeah.
Now, and things are different. My husband even cooks.
Exactly. My dad likes to cook.
Do you know? I would like, what I want to say is that the first shocker in my marriage was when I got married, because all my life I've been taught, like, okay, you need to cook for your husband, and then this was me, after our wedding and everything, trying to be a wife. I was just trying to cook. My husband had told me he liked a particular kind of, so I was just trying to impress, to cook and all that. So I finished cooking, he came back and all that. She said, oh, don't worry, I'll eat it later and all that. And I noticed that he wasn't even really keen on the food. Then over the weeks and months, I noticed that he likes to just buy food from outside. When he's coming, he buy food and bring, and that was just like an insult to me, because I didn't grow up like that. I felt that maybe this guy sees that maybe I can't cook or something. It was so traumatic.
And for context, she is not a caterer, which is really wild. So it's definitely not that she can't cook, because people be buying the food. But yeah.
So I think it's how he grew up. He grew up in that kind of setting where you can just buy food. It didn't really matter who cooked the food. It was just the most important thing was that, okay, we're eating and all that. And he just used to discourage me from, he said, why are you suffering yourself like this? Just,
That's so interesting that he saw it as suffering.
yes.
Whereas for you, you saw it as this is what a wife is.
Exactly.
So how would you say that compares to the times now? So for example, okay, maybe I should ask this. What are some misconceptions about marriage that you had? So for example, the fact that you thought that being married means cooking all the time. What are some other things that you were shocked by when you got into marriage initially?
Apart from the food thing, I grew up like, my dad was always at home by 3 p.m. By 3, my dad used to finish, close from work about 2, and by 3 p.m., latest 4 p.m., he's home. And he doesn't leave the house at all until the next day. And then I get married. I have my husband, in fact, if he comes home at 8 o'clock, that's early. So those were just, that was another shock for me. So
okay. And in terms of like, I'm trying to think of the stereotypes of marriage that people have even now. That you, every single day, you'll be with your partner and it will always be rainbows.
Okay, on that food, they will say that the way to a man's heart is
through his belly.
Through his belly. And that's so wrong. That's not true. I've come to learn that, everything, you need to know who your partner is. You need to understand who your partner is. It's understanding. You need to learn who your partner is. It's not only about food. Food is important. Yeah, nobody wants to be hungry and all that. But the food, sometimes people don't want to eat at home. Sometimes they want to eat out. It doesn't have to be that food that you have cooked. It might be, particular. It doesn't even really mean anything for some people. So don't use that to judge everything. No.
What are some things that you wish that you knew before you got married? You can take your time.
I think that would be, I would have liked to know my husband even more.
Because how long did you guys...
Okay, so I met my husband sometime in May. And by December, he had asked me to marry him. And then we got married.
Wow! Some of you are in a situationship for 2 years. Please, listen and know what you're doing. Just know what you're doing.
No, we got married in June. No, in May. So it was like a 1 year
situation.
Yeah. So everything I learned was in the marriage. So I don't know whether it's a good or a bad thing.
It can be a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's positive, if it's negative. For me, because that was what I had.
And also thinking about the fact that were you like spirit filled at that time?
Exactly. I wasn't spirit filled. Even though I was a Christian, but I was a young Catholic and I didn't really know much about spirituality, and I didn't know that you could, you had to pray for God to choose your husband. So if I knew better, I would have liked to go on that journey even more intense, and then to be able to know the will of God for me. Yeah, my husband is I think my husband is perfect for me. I don't know any other one, so he's not perfect, but I thank God for the man I married. One, because one of the things I would say about my husband is that he allows me to do whatever I want to do. Like, he doesn't stop me. He doesn't stop me from pursuing my dreams, especially. And that's so important to me. So thank God, I married that kind of person. And yeah.
Okay, so you would have stayed in the dating relationship longer if you had known. And then tell us, what does it look like after 20 years or 23 years of marriage? Like, what does marriage start to look like? Does it take on a different face? Like, the first year and this year, what are the differences? Or what are some of the differences?
Of course, first year, you are so in love. Anything happens, you just accept it. you are just you just accept anything. You're not looking at, I don't know how to explain it
You're
now.
not seeing clearly.
You're not seeing clearly. You're just, you're just in love. So anything can happen. You can take everything in a pinch of salt. Whatever, things are going on, it's okay. I can manage this. But after a while, you start getting, your eyes will open.
You say your eye will clear.
Your eyes will open because a lot will happen that will make you really, really think, and like you start to question certain things. You question that's going to definitely happen. Like you start to ask yourself, really, what's going on here? Like,
and I guess the realities of life start to learn. And to be very honest, hardships will change anybody. So it's not even necessarily just about the time that has passed, but also just about the fact that you are going through life regardless.
And the thing is that people change. Whether it's the guy, even you as
you will change.
You change because you evolve. Like things happen, like you said, maybe circumstances of maybe hardship, maybe the economy, maybe just different things can change you. Your perspectives begin to change on different things, and you just become a different person. There's a time my husband told me, and he said, "Oh, you have changed," and I'm like, "You have been changing from so."
And it's a good thing though. You're not supposed to stay the same your whole life. You're not supposed to stay the same.
And I think that people in my generation, we didn't grow up with social media. It was something that happened to us. So you can imagine like being a certain way, and in the middle of it, social media now changes you to be somebody else. And we're looking and we're like, all of a sudden you realize that, okay, you mean I can't do this? You mean I don't have to cook? Let me use my own example. So it's okay for me to cook and my husband not to eat. It doesn't mean that my husband doesn't love me or that I don't know how to cook. Social media can show you a lot of other. Even me, I was beginning to like, please, I don't want to cook. I want to eat, out. From day one of our marriage, my husband, we've always had a chef that would come and cook. So I sort of like embraced everything. I don't know if I'm deviating from the
No, that makes sense. It makes sense, and basically change is going to happen. Essentially what you're saying, misconceptions may be that you will stay the same the whole time. No, you will not. Change is going to happen. And I think I would say closer to the end of this, something I want to use to wrap this up is, do you think it is still a beneficial thing for a woman specifically to get married? Do you think it is a beneficial thing? Like, what is the point of marriage in this generation? And I want you to also speak from like a Christian perspective, because a lot of people my age and like around my age and a bit older are just wondering what the point of marriage is, because a lot of women are happier without it, and statistics even show that a lot of women live longer when they are not married, which I think is weird, but it is what is happening. And if you could go back, I know you already said you would get married again, but do you actually think it is beneficial? Like, what is the point of marriage at this stage?
Marriage, a good marriage, I don't want to say marriage, a good marriage comes with a lot of positives as well. It's not easy to get to that point. You have to work for it. You can't say, okay, it's only love. At some point, there's no love there. It's just commitment left. And what I would say is that it's still, if there's a good marriage, if the marriage that is not abusive, even if it's abusive, but you can talk about it and it stops. Sometimes people abuse people not knowing that they are abusing the people. So when you talk about it and the person actually says that, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know that this was what it was, and the person genuinely changes, I think it's a good thing, because at the end of the day, if the marriage is blessed with children, it's also very good, because now you have a big family. At your old age, you might be okay now as a young person to say, oh, I don't need marriage, I can be on my own, I have friends. But when you are getting older, as you grow older, you find out that people, if you're alone, it's a very terrible thing to be alone. It's terrible to be alone. So as a young person, I will advise you, don't close that chapter completely. It is something that is worth trying. And I don't want for the young people, I don't want you to be pressurized into marriage. Don't go into marriage out of pressure and you go into a wrong marriage. That's even worse. Hear from God. See, marriage is so important that it's something that you need to hear from God for. It's not something to be joked about at all. If it means that you need to fast, you need to pray, for you to decide to marry, you can, even if you are praying and fasting about it for 1 year, it's worth it because it's a lifetime. I've seen marriage change people for the best and change people for the worst. You find out that there's some people, before they got married, they were better off. And some people, before they got married, they were worse, and when they got married, they became better for it. So it's something that you should really plan to pray about it. Let God choose for you. Please don't just go because this is what social media is saying. Oh, I'm 25.
That's where I should be.
Exactly. I'm 25. I'm 30. Oh, my friends are getting married, and go and force yourself into a marriage that's not going to work. Please don't do it. But when the marriage comes, if there's somebody that you know that genuinely loves you and you have prayed about it and God says, please do it. It's a good thing. By the time you get married and there's this, you have this love and there's commitment. Like I said to you, the love will not always be there. There are some times that are really, really down times in the marriage, and it's not when you can't say, oh, because it's done, oh, I'm backing out of this marriage, and no. That's not what it is. If you're not being abused in that marriage, if you're not, you say, oh, I've fallen out of love.
What does that even mean? That means that commitment is gone.
Do you remember the vows? Just remember the reason you got married in the first place. Remember that same person. That's all I can say.
You have given us some keys and gems. Do you have anything to say to the viewers? Anything else you want to say?
The only thing I would like to say is I've heard a lot of your age saying that they want to get married, but they don't want to have children yet.
Oh my God, you guys. Yo, guys, there was one time I told my mom that... There was one time that I told my mom that I want to wait 5 years before I have a child. You guys, we had a conversation for 2 hours. 2 hours. Like, she actually wanted to beat me. Maybe we should talk about this on our next video. Contraception and African parents. They don't mix well. What is it? Why? Oh yeah, tell us why.
5 years, you want to wait.
Do you know what? Funny enough, that time I actually didn't even say I wanted to wait for 5 years. So I was showing her an example. I don't want to wait for 5 years. I was showing her an example of somebody that waited for 5 years. And these were their reasons. And she was like, why would you wait for 5 years?
No, see, let me tell you. Your biological clock is ticking.
Mom, that's not a thing.
Wait now, you marry at 25. You want to wait till 30 before you start having children. Now, you think about it now.
What if they just want to live their lives and have career goals?
So just be dating now.
You know what? You guys, if you want us to do a video on this topic, tell us in the comments and we'll do one.
But dating, so that you know that.
So basically what you want to tell our age group is that we should have children.
When you get married now, you can't have your cake and eat it at the same time. When you get married, you start having children. And you know the funny thing, you say there's nothing God cannot do. God sees your desire. If you've prayed about it and you say, oh God, I would like to have my children after 2 years, right? Then prayerfully talk to God about it. Maybe when God answers prayers, and at the end of the day, you find out that you marry, and really, after 2 years, you start having children. So what's the point of praying to God and having faith if you can't believe God for that?
You know what? What is the point of love? We've had this conversation before. It's like saying, I don't want to gain weight. I don't want to gain weight.
No, it's like you have reasons. I just want to spend time with my husband alone before I start having kids. Maybe we can't because we can't afford it. But you cannot say God's plan for you. You don't know what that child that you are going to have. Maybe God wants you to have that child at that time. You cannot stop God's plan.
So are you
That's the
saying
point
that
I'm trying to
medication is stopping God's plan?
I'm not saying that medication is stopping God's plan. I don't know what question you're asking, but what I'm trying to say is that when you want to marry, just don't start with saying that, okay, you say this marriage, I'm married now, just me and my husband. Any child that comes, we are going to block that child. Please don't block any child.
Don't block any child
from coming to this world. Uzoma,
Mommy, please. She said I should not block any child. Yeah, oh my god. You guys, I'm going to be on YouTube when I have a kid.
you know why I'm saying
And
this?
I'm happy that you guys will be here.
Wait, I'm talking from a. Okay.
If I come and drop that child at your house and you say anything.
Don't say that.
I said that.
No. Because I did not drop you for my mother.
It doesn't matter.
Did I drop you
She
for
was
my
there
mother?
all the time. Shout out to my grandma that's turning 90 in like 2 days. Anyway, this conversation has to be. You guys have seen that she doesn't want me to block any child. Oh god. Okay guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see,
Don't be angry with me. I'm just a mommy.
I'm just a mommy. This video is not too long, hopefully, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I just wanted to get her 2 cents because I am currently in my 20s and I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting married soon, y'all. But I'm also thinking about you guys and how there are lots of you that always have these questions. And I just thought, since my mom has been married for about 20 years and counting, she has the gems. So if you have any questions about anything that she has said, just leave them in the comments. I will definitely show her the comments because I might not have the answers, she might. So I will get her to answer. If you guys want to see a part 2 of this, if you want us to film another video together, just let us know. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I am so appreciative that you guys are still here. We love you. Please make sure to like this video if you actually liked it, and tell us your favorite point. Tell us what made you laugh, tell us what you agree with. If you have any questions, ask them down below. But yes, we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, viewers.
Say bye.
Bye. Love you all.